Hey everyone, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today's topic is all about time management. Now, if you're one of those people that finds that there's just not enough hours in the day to do all the things that you wanted to do, or even that you had a whole list of things, but there was just one thing that you really wanted to achieve, but somehow you never got around to it, then today's episode is really going to help you. Because today, I'm going to share with you 11 time management tips. And these tips and tools are going to help you structure your day in a way that all the things that you need to get done get ticked off and executed really well. And the things that you find, actually, I didn't really need to do that thing, that can wait, well, you'll be able to find a place for those as well. Cool. So stick around. You're going to learn some strategies and some tools and get some hacks to make you a lot more effective with your time. And make sure to hang around for the last one, because the last one is the one that reigns supreme. All right, let's dive in. Okay, so the first time management tool that you're going to use is a planner. Now, a planner can come in a whole bunch of different shapes and sizes. It can be a diary, the old school diary with a book. It could be a whiteboard on the kitchen wall, which is one of the things that we use as well. But my preferred planner, the one that I use the most, is my online calendar. Now, for me and our family, having a shared online calendar is just a game changer. The reason you want a planner or a calendar of some sort is because it allows you to set aside times for the things that you need to do. Now, if you've got a whole bunch of things that going on that you need to do or want to do, it's really easy to think about those things all throughout the day, actually achieve none of them, and then worse, you get to the end of the day and you've thought about it the whole time, but you've left yourself no time with which to do it, so it has to get pushed over to another day. What that has done is it's consumed a whole lot of headspace that you could have freed up. And so by having a planner, calendar or a diary, whatever you want to call it. We'll call it a planner, right? But by having a planner, it means that you can allocate time throughout the day to focus on that task. Now, there's actually a lot of benefits that come with using a planner. A shared one is even better as well, because it can suggest or at least inform your significant other, might be a partner, might be a work colleague, that you've set aside time to focus on that particular task. It also makes it a lot easier to say no to people. Someone comes up, these things happen, they say, oh, hey, can you help me out with X, Y, and Z at 2 o'clock? You can flick into your planner and just say, actually, I'm already committed at that time. Is there another time that suits you? Or even better for you, you can suggest a time that you're available. That's one of the benefits. Another one, which is really underestimated, is, I kind of touched on it before, is that when you have something allocated in your planner, what it means is that any other time throughout the day that you start to think about that thing, let's say washing the car, any single time throughout the day that I think about washing the car, I can instantly say, actually, Eddie, that's all right. I've already allocated time to think about washing the car and doing the activity itself. That means that all those times that I start to think about it, I can push them away, and it frees up my headspace to be present in the thing that I'm working on at that time. That's a really powerful way of staying present. So yeah, if you're not using a planner already, make sure you put that on your to-do list. That's one of the first things you want to get on top of if you want to manage your time effectively. Okay, prioritizing tasks. Now, this goes on the back of the planning. Once you've started to identify what are the things throughout the day that you want to do, it is really important that you start to prioritize. Now, a lot of people struggle with prioritization, and it's simply because they know how important it is, but they don't know how to do it. Here's how you're going to prioritize. You're going to visualize a triangle, or better still, get a pen and paper and draw a triangle on a piece of paper. A triangle. Your triangle is going to be split into 3 segments, but they're not all equal. And here's why. The bottom part of your triangle is going to take about 70% of the triangle. The middle slice is going to take about 25% of your triangle. And then that top little bit is going to take about 5% of your triangle. Now, when it comes to prioritizing, what you're going to do is you're going to, let's say you've got 100 things in a day that you need to do. Okay, there's 100 actions, 100 tasks that you need to achieve. If you have your goal of what success looks like at the top of the triangle, you don't need to write this down, just visualize it. But if you have what your idea of success throughout the day looks like at the top of that triangle, then you can guarantee that about 70% of the things that you need to do, that you want to do, or that are on your to-do list, 70% of those 100 tasks are pure noise. Now, I don't say that lightly either. Remember, we're all about the success, the outcome that we're looking for at the top of that triangle. 70% of those things that you've got on your plate to do are not going to contribute in any way, shape, or form to what success looks like for your day. The next 25%, that middle slice, we're going to call those important. Now, those are the things that you're probably going to need to do if you want to be successful. That top 5% though, that is where the gold lies. That's the all important stuff, but we're going to call that critical. Now, that 5% of tasks, they are the ones that if you don't do those, there is no way that you're going to be successful. So that's how you're going to start looking at it. If it helps, a way that you can use as an analogy or kind of paint a picture in your mind is to think of a person much like you or I. We'll use me for an example, right? So right now I'm looking at my smartphone, there's a laptop, there's a microphone, those kind of things. In terms of what I needed to do to record this episode, there's a whole lot of other stuff here that's actually just noise. Stuff off camera that you can't see, like a table. I've got the kids' toys lying around just off camera. There's a whole bunch of clothes, laundry that I've got to do. Now, in terms of recording this episode, that is all noise. Further to that, there are the important things like the lighting, that kind of thing. The microphone, that's kind of important. But without the camera, without the video, this isn't going to happen. So for me, that video, the camera, is the critical thing. The microphone, the lights, they're important. And the washing, the table, the chairs, all that kind of thing, that's just noise. Now, if you're still struggling, we can boil this down even more. And this next example is the one that I use whether I'm coaching chief executives, board members, senior managers, or just entrepreneurs that are coming through my door. This is the one that seems to stick the most. Think of a person. Now, in terms of what a person needs to survive, in that 70%, that noise, you would have things like a smartphone, a car, a bicycle, those kind of things. The next 25% are the important things. We're talking food, water, clothing, shelter, that kind of thing. But none of those are even going to be useful in any way, shape, or form until you identify the critical thing. What is the critical thing that a person needs to survive? Well, they need air. Air to breathe is the critical thing that a person needs. And so whenever you're looking at planning your day, your week, your month, your next 10 years, you're really trying to identify what are the critical things that I need in order to be successful. What is the air that I need to identify and put into that top 5% of critical actions. All right, I trust that it helps. I know it helps me and it helps the people I coach. Okay, so the next way you're going to really level up your time management skills is to set goals. Now, the reason why you want to set goals is because it will help give you a laser focus on the things that you need to do in order to be successful. When you have that laser focus, it allows you to manage your time much more effectively. Most people, but definitely not everyone, heard of SMART goals. S-M-A-R-T. Specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. Now, when you put all of those things together, you have a goal that allows you to have a level of specificity or detail in it. That means you know what it is that you're actually trying to achieve. If, for example, I said a goal of mine is to eat breakfast, okay, it's a useful goal, but it doesn't tell me what I'm meant to be having for breakfast, how I'm going to make it, when I'm even going to be having it, believe it or not. And so let's say I rephrase that into a SMART goal. And I said, I'm going to eat toast in the morning. It is going, by having that toast outcome or goal, I know that it's measurable. I'm either having toast or I didn't have toast. Is it achievable? Well, if I don't have bread at home and I don't have any money with which to buy bread, then it's not likely that it's going to be achievable. So straight away, what kind of things do I need in order to achieve that goal? When you think about relevant, like how relevant is that to my life? If my goal was for somebody in New York to eat breakfast, that's not really relevant to my life. It has no bearing on my life. And so I want a goal, and you want a goal that is relevant to you. And that's whether it's professionally or personally. We've also got time-bound. Okay, so time-bound. This is probably the most important part about goal setting. And the reason it's the most important is because once you set a date for something, everything else can line up to that date. So let's go with that breakfast analogy. By saying I'm going to have breakfast at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning, I have just told myself and everybody around me that at this particular time, this goal is what I'm going to be achieving. I can now work backwards and I can add those layers of specificity. I can sense check whether it's going to be measurable or not. I can work out, is this even relevant for me? And then I can start to look at how I can pull those pieces together in order to make my goal a reality at 9 a.m. Awesome. So another really good goal setting exercise for people to use, and this is one I also like doing as well, is to Whoop. Now, not a lot of people have heard about Whoop, but it's another really effective way, and obviously we like to think and approach problems and challenges differently, right? So if SMART goals isn't your thing, then I reckon Whooping will be. So Whoop is another acronym, funnily enough, W-O-O-P, Whoop. So when you think of a Whoop, Whoop is a wish, outcome, obstacles, and people use P slightly differently. I talk about planning. Wish, outcome, obstacles, planning. Let's start with wish. When you think about the goal that you want to achieve, you go through the process of wishing it to become a reality. What is this thing that I really want? Craft it in your mind. Close your eyes if you have to. I find that is really helpful, by the way. But I close my eyes and I think about the thing that I'm trying to achieve. We'll stick with the breakfast analogy while we're on there, right? So I think about this breakfast. Okay, I want to have this breakfast at 9 a.m. Okay, this is really locked in my mind now. But that's not enough. what you need to now do is you need to think about what is the outcome of achieving that wish. So then I started to think, okay, let's get down into the detail. When I have this breakfast at 9 a.m., I can taste this toast with hot butter spread on it. I can taste the peanut butter. In fact, I'm an avocado and Marmite person. Anyhow, so I can taste the spread on my toast. The outcome isn't just something of, hey, well done, Eddie, you achieved that goal. The outcome is something that I can feel, that I can taste, that is triggering the endorphins, the success and feel-good endorphins that I know I'm going to get when I achieve that goal. Our next O, obstacles. Okay, so what are the things that are going to stop me from achieving that goal? What are the things that are going to stop me from achieving having breakfast at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning? Okay, right. Well, if I wake up in the morning and let's say I wake up at 7 a.m. and I go into the kitchen and there's no bread. Okay, that's going to be an obstacle. There's no butter. That's another obstacle. The toaster doesn't work. There's a third obstacle. We'll just go with those three for now. Those three obstacles are problems that I've identified between me and my goal. Cool. Now that we've got those, it's the last one. P. The planning. This is the bit where you say, if one of those obstacles or barriers crops up, what am I going to do about it? And this is where you plan for it. You plan ahead. And so what I do is I would say, okay, if I wake up tomorrow morning and there's no bread, I'm going down to the shop to buy it. That's my plan. I've identified the obstacle. I've now got a plan for it. If I go through and there's no butter, once again, I'm going to go down to the shop, buy some butter. If the toaster doesn't work, and a toaster's a biggie, right? Like a toaster's a big thing in terms of needing to make toast. What am I going to do? Easy. This is not an insurmountable hurdle. I'll just use the oven. Like I've cooked bread into toast in an oven since I was 5 years old, believe it or not. Anyway, what that has told me is that no matter what the obstacle is, I can plan a way around it so that this insurmountable barrier is now gone out of the way. So there you have it. Whoop. Wish, outcome, obstacle, and planning. Between that and SMART goals, you are going to find yourself leveling up in a way that you wouldn't even believe was possible in terms of your time management. All right, go to it, see how it feels. Okay, the next one on our list is multitasking. Now, let me just get straight into this. Multitasking exists in your mind, but the science behind it has disproven or proven that multitasking is not effective so many times that I would go with the science on this one. When we multitask, we often think that our brain is able to do these two things or more at exactly the same time. But that's not what happens. What your brain is actually doing is it is working on one task and then it shuts that part down and starts working on the next task. It is not doing them both at the same time. It's like a door. It's open and then it's closed, and it's open, closed. And so if you find yourself trying to multitask across multiple tasks or actions, you're simply robbing yourself of the headspace that it takes to stay focused on one of those tasks and to do it as well as you can. When you do this, or when we multitask, what's happening is we work on this one task and then we switch to the other. Now, there is actually a lay period when your brain switches back to that original task that it takes for your brain to gear up to the speed that it was operating at before it changed tasks. That's not effective use of your headspace, and it's certainly not going to be effective use of your time. So, when you start thinking about multitasking, reduce the amount of tasks that you need to focus on to one. That is the one thing that you want to focus on. That is the thing that you are going to concentrate all of your mental energy, time, and resources into. What we want to avoid is those situations where we try to do everything at once and then we do none of them well. Cool. Now, there's some tips and tricks that you can use to multitask or to focus, on a task more effectively. And a lot of that is going to come down to structuring your time, much like we've talked about with the planner, but also the minimizing the amount of distractions that you've got, which I'll talk about soon. Okay, so here's a common pitfall that people fall into when they think about time management. When people think about time management, they're often thinking about how productive that they can be. Now, in terms of productivity and trying to operate at a really high level, that's not something that you can sustain forever. Just like driving in a car, for those of you that are drivers, you'll know that you can take a car up to the red line, but you can't keep it there. If you try to keep it there, it'll blow out, it'll burn out, and that's exactly what happens to people. So the way you can help this, even on a much smaller scale, like throughout the course of your day, is to take regular breaks. Taking regular breaks is a great way to reinvest in the energy that your brain has been putting out and kind of tops up the batteries as well. It also allows you to stay fresh in your mind so you don't feel like you're having to bang your head against the wall trying to complete a task. Taking a break is also a really effective way of looking at a problem from another perspective. If you're going to take a break, don't just sit there looking at your phone or looking at the computer. Instead, go do something that's going to put some fresh air in your lungs. Go for a walk, whatever it might be. Cook something. Irrespective of what it is, you really want to get away from being in that environment that you're currently in. So, with taking breaks, you want to take a break every hour, especially if you're hunched over a laptop or keyboard doing that, T-Rex thing that we love to do. So make sure you're taking a break, 5, 10, 15 minutes every hour. Find that you're getting really fatigued, then take breaks more frequently. You can take short bursts of them, right? So it could be 5 minutes here, and then after 20 minutes, you just take another 5-minute break. It's absolutely fine. Your brain's trying to tell you that it just needs a little bit of rest, and then it can dive back into that problem again. Something else that I like to do is to take micro breaks. So I'm often looking at a keyboard, a laptop, my phone, whatever that might be. And a micro break simply is where instead of looking at the laptop again, I look up into the distance or look out the window, and I'll just concentrate looking out the window for 20 to 30 seconds. And then I'll look at the screen again. And that is just such a crazy powerful way of keeping my brain fresh and allowing it to operate at the level that I need it to operate at. All right, give that a try. Okay, this next one is another biggie. This is delegation. Now, if you want to take your time management experience and awareness and skills to the next level, then you're going to need to delegate. Delegate, delegate, delegate. Here's why delegating is so important. Let's say I'm really good at this particular task. And this task is going to help me get to my goal. There are a number of other tasks that I can do that I'll need to do in order to achieve my goal. However, if I have to learn how to do those tasks, or if I have to do all of those tasks, then it is going to take me a lot longer to get to my goal than if I delegated those tasks out to other people. So, what I do when I think about delegation is I think about what is the task that I need to achieve? Who can do it for me? When I think about how I'm going to work towards this goal, I'm going to surround myself with people that are able to complement what I can do and do the tasks that need to be done in order to reach our goal. What that actually looks like in practice in real life is exactly what this video is. So here I am sitting in front of this camera and I'm recording this episode. I can do the production, I can do the editing, I can do the publishing, I can put it out to social media, I can do all of those things. However, if I want to focus on the thing that I'm best at, well, that's this bit here, the bit where I share my knowledge with you. So by delegating out all of those tasks to other people, that means I can focus on the bit that not only I'm good at, but that I love doing as well. So I can keep on recording these and then delegate it off to other people to do the editing, to do the publishing on social media, to do the sharing and that kind of thing. So this is a real world example of what delegation looks like. That's in terms of like a professional side, but think about things in the home as well. Now, we have 4 children in our home, and we also look after my mum. In terms of being able to do everything around the home, it just wouldn't be possible. Thankfully, we've got kids, and so we can delegate out some of these tasks to the kids. Can you clean the table? Can you load the dishwasher? Can you vacuum the floor? Those kind of things. Now, you can see straight away the difference between those two in terms of the professional and the personal is that one of them I'm actually asking because, you know, if you've ever tried to delegate a thing out to a child, you know exactly what I mean. It's one of those if you know, you know situations. But on the other hand, if there's something that you can pay a professional to do to support you with your tasks, to help you achieve that goal, then delegating that task is a great idea because it's not just, it might be a small investment in terms of money, but the time that you get back is invaluable. Awesome. So remember, delegate your tasks. That is one of the critical components of time management. Delegate, delegate, delegate. Okay, another time management hack is to use technology. Now, it's a double-edged sword using this technology. So let me just be clear on this. Technology has pros and cons to it. Your smartphone, for example, gives you access to news around the world. You can do your banking on it. You can find recipes. There's almost no shortage of things that you can do with a smartphone, right? We all know one of the drawbacks of having a smartphone. If you've got a social media profile, at some stage it's going to catch your attention and it's going to suck you into the social media hole before you even know it. If you've got access to your email, suddenly you're on your emails checking them. If you take your kids out to the park, you go to take your phone out and you're recording the kids playing at the park, which is great, but it also means that you stop being present in that moment and you start focusing more about the quality of the recording that you're taking rather than just being present in that experience itself. Those are some of the known pitfalls about technology. But when I think about the positives and how it can help me improve my time management, once again, there's a lot of benefits there. When I think about using technology to help me with my time management, it's really got to come down to 2 things. One is the function, and the second thing is ease of use. Let's focus on the first one, the function. When I look at the technology I'm going to use, I don't need flashy things. The flashy thing is just going to be a distraction for me. What I need to know is this problem that I have, is it going to fix that problem? And if it is, great. And if it's not the right solution. Let's use spreadsheets as an example. Now, I hate spreadsheets. You give me a spreadsheet for long enough and my eyes start to glaze over. That being said, if I'm looking at a whole bunch of things that I need to get done, then putting them into a spreadsheet helps me order them, prioritize them, and then I can quickly move things around. So for me, a spreadsheet's quite a useful way of being able to find ways to manage my time, and it it does that by letting me put things down in a list and then moving that list around as I see fit. Cool. The second thing is intuitive. Is it easy for me to use? Now, intuitive is different for everybody. What some people find really easy, and it's that frustrating thing where you're learning something from somebody and then they'll say, oh, it's so easy to use. And then you go to use it and you think, this is not easy. How the hell do they even do this? I get that experience a lot, by the way. So what I'm looking for is not ease of use from the guy who recorded the video somewhere in Canada or something telling me how easy it was. Ease of use for me is, when I go to pick this up, does it make sense for me? Because if it doesn't make sense for me and I'm finding it difficult for it to make sense for me, then it's just not the right tool. There is no shortage of technology tools out there for you to use. What works for some won't work for others. And so if you want a practical tip around using the right technology or working out which one looks best for you, just Google or Yahoo or Bing search. If somebody's saying, I don't know, Slack is a really good thing to use and you find it difficult, like me, then I just put up alternatives to Slack. Boom. It'll come up with like 10 different examples that I can use. And surely one of those is going to work much better for me, provide the same functionality, but it also gives me the ease of use that I'm looking for. All right, there you go. How to use technology 101. Okay, I talked a little bit about this before, but minimizing distractions. Now, this really goes on the back of the planning. Just reminds you how important a planner is in your day-to-day life, or how important it's going to be if you've got a longer-term goal. So by using this planner, you're going to have a structure to help you minimize distractions. Here's a tip that you want to use if you want to reduce your time on social media. Because social media is one of the biggest distractions that people have. Now, if social media is not a problem for you, then swap out the phrase social media with phone calls to people or emails that you need to answer or needless meetings, whatever that might be. Okay, so if you allocate specific time in your planner to do that thing, then that means that you don't have to do social media any other time during the day. And it is such a good way to build a habit to have in your planner, right, let's say as an example, 8 a.m. in the morning till 8:30 a.m. in the morning. That is the only time I'm going to be checking my social media. And maybe have another slot at night, 7:30 at night till 8 o'clock at night. Great, so I've got 2 opportunities to look at my social media or to check my emails or to do whatever else that's often distracting me. So what that does is it means that when you're working on a task that you know you need to do, you can switch off your social media. You can put it on airplane mode, your phone or whatever. You can switch off all those other tabs, all the things that you know are going to distract you. And you also have confidence that it's actually going to be there when you get back to it at the time that you've allocated for it. Man, that is such a, honestly, I cannot overestimate how powerful that's going to be for you. Remember, switch off those distractions and that'll help you to be more present as well. For a lot of people, their phone is a huge benefit in their life and a massive ball and chain. One of the ways that you can help minimize the amount of distractions that you have and be more present is to switch off your phone. Now, a real world, a personal example that we have in my home, in our home I should say, is that we have no technology at the table. So when we all gather around the table and there's 7 of us sitting at our dinner table, no one is allowed their phone. There's no laptops, there's no toys, there's no anything. There's just the food and us and our conversations and our interactions. That has become part of the glue of our family. That's part of the fabric of our family now. And we all know it and everybody has bought into it. We didn't buy into it straight away, by the way. A little bit of a habit formed needed to be formed there, but now that it has, so good in our lives. So that's an example of minimizing the distractions so that you can be present in that moment. Awesome. I'm sure that will work out for you. Looking forward to hearing how that goes. Okay, so the next strategy, tool, and hack you're going to be able to use to level up your time management, and this is a difficult one for a lot of people, so I'm going to give you what you need to say as well. But the next one is being able to say no. Now, that one word is going to increase your ability to manage your time exponentially. Being able to say no is a difficult thing for a lot of people, and it has been and sometimes is for myself as well. If you're anything like me, you're a people pleaser and you want to be able to help people. The problem comes when you say yes to so many different things that you simply don't have enough time to do them, or you spread yourself so thin that you're not doing any of them effectively well anyway. The analogy I like to use is spinning plates. You ever see like a magician and they have plates and they spin them on a pole and they spin one and they spin another, and then next thing you know they've got 6 or 7 plates. Soon enough, they're not spinning the plates very well, and you see it topple and turn and all the rest. And then eventually, depending on how many plates they have in front of them, plates start to fall and smash on the ground. Now, you can avoid those kind of situations simply by saying no to people. They ask you to do something, just say no. So simple. When you say it out like that, it just sounds so easy, doesn't it? But here's how you're going to do it. You're going in a professional context, because I think this is the one that traps people the most, is that their boss comes to them or a stakeholder, whatever, a vested interest comes to them and says, I need you to do this thing. Can you do this thing for me? And you're naturally inclined to say, yeah, I'll do it. And in the back of your mind, you're thinking, oh my gosh, I can't do this. I don't have enough time to do this. So the way you're going to manage this situation is when your boss comes to you and says, can you do this thing for me? You can either say, I can't do that for you now because I have these other priorities that need to be done in order for us to be successful, or for us to reach our goal, or for us to meet that deadline, whatever the language is that you're going to need to use. Or if you can't say no in that situation, here's how you're going to manage it. You're going to flip that around, and you're going to come back and say to your boss, in order for me to do this thing that you've just asked me to do, I need to delegate out one of these other priorities that I currently have. Can you please tell me who I can delegate these out to, or whether I should continue working on those priorities? Now, that is going to give you and your boss a huge amount of confidence, because your boss is going to be reminded, yes, I forgot about that. This person, Eddie's already got these other things that must be done in order for us to be successful. But they haven't just given me a problem back. They've actually given me a solution. I can either ask Eddie to deprioritize one of those and delegate it out to somebody else, or I can just delegate that task out to somebody else anyway. I have used that approach so many times over my professional career, and it has never failed me. And I kid you not, it has never failed me. Just to recap that, if your boss comes and asks you to do something, instead of saying no, you can switch it around and give them those two options. Now, outside of that example and outside of that environment, there are going to be times where it pays to say no. Saying no doesn't have to sound like the word no. And here's another example that you're going to need to use. Well, I think you should use. And I think you should use it because it is just the gold star effort for me and our family. We use this on the kids, but we use this on adults as well. I use this on adults as well. Here it goes. Somebody asks me to do something. Let's say one of the kids comes up and asks me to open up a jam jar. Instead of me saying no, my instant response is, explain to me the 4 different ways that you've tried to open that jam jar. Now, this idea, this solution has so much benefit to it. Until you start using it, you're not really going to capture how much or how beneficial it is. But trust me on this one, this is a biggie. As soon as I say that to them, instantly, they are starting to think, oh, how have I tried to solve this problem? Because you know what kids are like. Get a problem, fix it for me. No, that's not going to work in this situation. Now, my kids are having to think, oh, how have I tried to open it? So they'll try one way, and then knowing kids being kids, they try exactly the same way, and then they say that that's the second way that they've tried. And you say, no, show me a different way. And so they'll go through 4 different ways to try and open that jam jar. Now, that one phrase, describe to me or show me the 4 different ways you've tried to open that now puts the emphasis on learning and a growth mindset back on that person. They're going to go through 1, 2, 3 ways, and they're going to know that they can't come back to me until they've tried the 4th way, because I'm going to want to see it. If they get a little bit unstuck, or they come into a problem, then I might guide them a little bit, but I'm not giving them the answer, and I'm certainly not going to do it for them. Because what happens is every time you do that thing for them and you just think, it's faster for me to solve this problem for them, it's faster on that one occasion. But the next 35 times they come to you asking you to solve a problem, they know that at some stage you're going to solve it anyway. So you want to get rid of all of that simply by using that phrase. Show me or describe to me the 4 different ways you've tried to solve that problem. Now this, that example I gave, that applies for our kids. But I just gave that coaching advice to a person who is now taking over a car yard, a very large car yard in Wellington. And he's constantly being asked to solve problems by his mechanics, by his sales reps, by his front counter office, everything. But that phrase that he uses now is delegating all that responsibility and all those tasks and actions back out to the people that are going to need to know how to do it anyway. So remember, if somebody says to you, can you do this thing? Saying no is going to be a weapon that you can use to manage your time. But no doesn't have to sound like that. Use those 2 examples I gave you, and I can't wait to hear how successful you've been with them. Okay, this next one is batching. So batching is where you put a group of tasks that are quite similar together. Think about batching like you would, say, with grocery shopping. Grocery shopping is a pretty cool one. So if you were to go grocery shopping, you wouldn't go out and buy the milk and then come home. And then go out and buy the bread and then come home. And then go out and, let's say the produce, the vegetables are at a different shop, or you like your meat from a particular butcher. You don't then go out again and then get that food and then come back. Instead, you're batching them all together, which is one of the benefits of a supermarket, right? But anyway, you batch those things together. So instead of having to go do each task individually, by batching them up, you are going to save the amount of time it takes to do all of them together. By doing them all together, You'll save in the transport that it takes. You'll save at the checkout instead of getting your card out 5 times or paying off your phone 5 times. So that's kind of the essence and the principle behind batching. Batching also latches on to keeping your headspace in a particular frame of mind. So I've touched on about identifying times when you're going to do emails or when you're going to have a look at your social media. That might also relate to particular tasks that you're working on at work as well. So if you've got a group of tasks that are kind of similar, or you're going to need to operate in a similar headspace, then batch them up together. Because by batching them up together, you're not committing your headspace to it and then switching us to something completely different and then having to come back to it and gearing up your brain again. So batching is a really clever way of keeping your brain in a particular headspace, knowing that you can keep it humming along rather than turning the engine off and then turning it back on again. Batching. Give it a try. Okay, here it is, the creme de la creme, the cherry on the top, the number one thing that all other time management tips, hacks, strategies, and tools operates off. This is the one that makes every difference in my life, and it is the thing that I prioritize above all else in terms of my mental health and my time management. The thing that I do that I have to prioritize is sleep. Now, for many of you, you're going to think, no, is that all? Or I kind of knew that. But the importance of sleep cannot be overestimated. Every single other tip, tool, hack, strategy, whatever you want to define, has its basis in having good quality sleep. Now, the science and the jury have already sorted this. We don't need to dig into this anymore, but in case you're wondering about the benefits of sleep, sleep helps with your memory, it helps reduce levels of anxiety, it gives you obviously increased levels of performance, your decision-making skills are better, There are so many benefits of having good quality sleep that this video is not going to be enough to cover them. Thankfully, there are other people out there who have done a great job, and one of my favorites is a guy called Andrew Huberman. There's also Joe Rogan who's doing a little bit on this as well, but they all talk about the importance of sleep. Now, sleep is so highly rated that even the absolute 1% athletes and business people, they understand the value of it. For me, I look at sleep like this. I've often heard, and you've probably heard as well, about needing, 7, 8, 9, 10 hours sleep a day. I can tell you that that is completely unrealistic in my home. We have 4 children, we have 7 people in total. We've actually got a hitchhiker staying with us as well. So right now, the thought of getting 8 hours sleep is just a non-existent. It's a non-starter. It's like that most days. But what I prioritize is the quality of sleep that I'm going to have. Because let's say I'm only able to get 7 hours of sleep a day. Now, I don't beat myself up that I can only get 7 hours. But what I do is I put into place a structure that allows for that 7 hours of sleep to be good quality sleep. If you aren't prioritizing your sleep, you are letting yourself down, and as you are operating at less than 100%. To structure your sleep in a better way, to have better sleep hygiene, there's some real quick wins that we've got available to us. One of them is the smartphone. Now, having a phone, as I've touched on before, has a pros and cons to it. But having a phone when you go to bed is a terrible idea. You can have a sleep app, sure, to help you monitor your sleep. I don't. And the reason I don't is because I know if my phone is within arm's reach, at some stage, I'm going to be picking that phone up and I'm going to be staring into it. So what I do is, at least 30 minutes before I close my eyes to go to sleep, I switch my phone off completely. It's off dead. What I find is, if I don't do that, I will hold my phone in front of my face literally until 30 seconds before I'm so tired I need to go to sleep. And then I'll switch it off, and then I'll close my eyes, and I might fall asleep, but it's not a restful sleep. And because it's not restful and not peaceful, it's not good quality. So I switch my phone off at least 30 minutes before I'm going to fall asleep. And that just allows my brain to depower and calm down a lot. Other things I do is I don't drink alcohol. In fact, at the moment, I'm not drinking alcohol at all anyway, but drinking alcohol before bed, even though we think it's going to be beneficial to our sleep, the science has already disproven that. And the same goes with THC. Sorry, weed heads, but that's the truth. Might feel like we're contributing to a good quality sleep, but it's not. If you doubt me, that's fine. Go have a look at the research online. There's so much of it out there now. It's great stuff. Andrew Huberman, like I said, great stuff. I think for me, one of the key people that helped me realize the importance of sleep was a guy called LeBron James. Now, some people know who that is, some people don't. LeBron James is an athlete who plays basketball in the NBA. Now, he actually gave a speech where he talked about the importance of sleep. He's one of these elite athletes, but he is also a very savvy businessman. The demands on his time and the need for highly effective time management is at the stage where he knows to the minute where he's going to be. He has to micromanage his time in that level. You and I don't need to, though. But one thing that really stuck out for me is the importance that he placed on sleep. Because he's constantly traveling to different time zones, he identifies when he is going to sleep, and then he works out everything else from that point in time. So he would say, I need 8 hours sleep, and I'm going to take my 8 hours sleep at this particular time of the night. Then working from there, like that being the key thing, that he is going to work around, then he says, right, well, after sleep, then I'll have breakfast at this time, then I'll go to business meetings in this time, and then I'll do stretching, then I'll play the game. And then he revolves his entire day around when he needs to sleep. That is a game changer for me, and I think it's going to be a game changer for anybody who takes this on board. The importance of sleep cannot be overestimated. It is the number one thing out of everything that you could possibly do to help you with your time management and your mental health. Prioritize that. Prioritize getting good quality sleep in your day, and I can't wait to hear how successful that is going to help, how that is going to help you be successful with your time management skills. So what you've got now is a bit of an insight into the tools that I use to help manage my time. Some of those will work for you, some of them won't. Some of them will work exceptionally well, and they'll probably work better than they work for me, and I can't wait to hear about those. The benefits of time management, as I've described, are immeasurable, but reducing the amount of stress that we have in our lives, that's a good thing. Reducing the amount of anxiety that we have in our lives, that's also a good thing. But one of those things that you're going to find that time management gives you is these goals that you've got in life, you're going to achieve them a lot faster and a lot more efficiently than if you weren't implementing these time management skills. What I want to do is I'm going to give you the challenge. Now the challenge for you is to try out at least 3 of those time management techniques. And I can't wait to hear how they worked for you or how they didn't. In addition, if you have any other time management skills you'd love to leave or share with the world, please add it to the comments and we'd love to talk about it even more. Might even do a video on it as well. Alright, thanks for that. Thanks everybody again for joining me on this time management episode. I trust you found it useful. Please remember to hit that subscribe button and also the notification bell so that you get all the latest updates. Finally, do share these around. I know people would benefit from having these time management skills, and also it helps us spread the word because we want to get that out there. We want to help people reduce their stress, reduce their anxiety, and be more in control of their lives. Alright, until then, bye for now.